Most people think Buddhism is just another religion, another set of rules, prayers, robes, temples. But what if I told you that Buddhism was never meant to be a religion at all? No gods to worship, no belief systems to blindly follow, no promises of paradise if you just behave. Because Buddhism isn't about belief, it's about seeing, it's about waking up. Not someday, not after death, but now, in this moment, right here, in the messiness of your life. That's why it works, because it doesn't try to fix you. It helps you see that you were never broken. Today, we'll uncover the real story of the Buddha, not the myth, not the statue. We'll walk the same path he walked, see what he saw, and explore the tools he left behind for anyone, yes, anyone, ready to stop suffering. But be warned, once you see what he saw, you can't unsee it. Many assume the Buddha was born enlightened. He wasn't. Siddhartha Gautama was born a prince, surrounded by perfumes, jewels, and every pleasure imaginable. His father, the king, did everything he could to shield him from the reality of suffering, as if pain could be locked out with marble walls. The young prince lived in a palace that felt like a world apart, full of luxury, but empty of meaning. Meanwhile, outside, life unfolded with all its rawness: aging, poverty, sickness, death. None of it existed in Siddhartha's vocabulary. Imagine growing up without ever knowing that suffering is real. Sounds like a dream. For him, it turned into a nightmare, the kind of illusion that seems perfect until you feel something's missing. And that sense of emptiness began to gnaw at him. Despite the servants, the dances, the banquets, something didn't sit right. He had everything, yet no peace. It was like drinking salt water. The more he consumed, the thirstier he became. Instead of answers, luxury brought restlessness. And that's often how a spiritual awakening begins, not when we lose everything, but when we realize everything isn't enough. It begs the question, how often do we confuse comfort with happiness? How often do we stack distractions while the soul just wants silence? Siddhartha's journey began with that confusion, and maybe yours has too. After all, if a prince felt existential emptiness, what does that say about the rest of us rushing through modern life? Then, one simple trip outside the palace changed everything. What he saw that day would shatter his world and shape the future of spiritual philosophy for millennia. Siddhartha didn't need a sacred text or divine lightning bolt to wake up. He just needed to step outside. The first thing he saw was an old man, bent over, fragile, barely able to walk. "What is that?" he asked. "That's old age," the charioteer replied. "Everyone will experience it." Everyone. The thought struck like thunder. For the first time, he realized the body has an expiration date. The next day, the second blow, a sick man, moaning in pain. This wasn't just discomfort, it was suffering. Raw, uncontrollable, real. Even the strong fall ill, he was told. If even health can't protect us, what can? That moment placed him face to face with life's fragility, a core principle of Buddhist spirituality. On the third trip, the final blow, a corpse. Still, silent, surrounded by incense and grief. "This is everyone's fate," the charioteer said. Siddhartha froze. Death, not as metaphor, but as literal end. A body with no breath, no spark, no answers. It shattered his world. Suffering wasn't the exception. It was the rule, but the fourth vision was different. He saw a monk, calm, composed, quietly radiant amidst the chaos. Something about that presence was magnetic. It was as if this man had seen through it all and found peace anyway. That vision lit a spark in him. Was there a way to live and not be ruled by suffering? That question wouldn't leave him alone. It pulled him further and further from the palace, from the silks, the jewels, even from his newborn son. When you realize everything is impermanent, clinging starts to feel like a form of madness. And so he walked into the forest, in search of something no crown could give him. Siddhartha wasn't looking for a better version of luxury. He was looking for truth. So he joined a group of ascetics in the forest, men who believed the body was the enemy, and freedom could only come by starving the senses. He ate a single grain of rice a day, sometimes not even that. He grew so thin, they say he could touch his spine through his stomach. He dove deep into extreme meditation, hours and hours in silence, trying to force the mind into stillness. And he came close, very close. He experienced altered states, piercing clarity, glimpses of something beyond. But it was unsustainable. His body was collapsing, his spirit unraveling. Something was missing. Then one day, by the riverbank, almost unconscious, a young girl offered him a bowl of rice and milk. Simple, gentle, and it changed everything. In that moment, he realized neither indulgence nor torture would lead to truth. The spiritual path wasn't in the extremes, it was in balance, and that insight would become the heart of Buddhist philosophy. It's easy to swing between extremes. In today's world, many of us oscillate between overindulgence and burnout, numbing or pushing until we crash. But balance? That's a quiet wisdom. Buddhism invites us to live it. Not reject the world, but not drown in it either. Want a modern practice? 10 minutes of silent breathing a day. That's enough to start. With that new clarity, Siddhartha stood up, stronger, calmer, ready. He no longer wanted to control life. He wanted to understand it. And to do that, he needed only one thing: a tree. And the decision to stay still beneath it until the truth revealed itself. He sat beneath the Bodhi tree, cross-legged, grounded, still. The sky was dark. The air was heavy. Siddhartha closed his eyes and made an unshakable vow. I will not rise until I see. This wasn't defiance. It was surrender. He no longer chased the world. He let it come. The mind resisted. Memories, cravings, fears, they swirled like storms. According to legend, Mara, the god of illusion, appeared to tempt him with pleasure, fear, and power. But Siddhartha didn't flinch. He observed it all without clinging, without running. And in that watching, something shifted. He saw his past lives. He saw the machinery of existence, birth, death, rebirth. He realized suffering wasn't in the world. It was in how we grasped at it. The ego was a fog. And awakening wasn't something to achieve, and it was something to remember. In that moment, Siddhartha became the Buddha, the awakened one. And he didn't float away or glow with halos. He just smiled. A simple smile, as if he'd finally understood the cosmic joke. And in that smile was the essence of Buddhism: awareness, compassion, and stillness. But awakening wasn't just for him. It was for anyone ready to see clearly. And that's why he stood up. Because understanding is only half the journey. The other half is sharing. And what he shared next would ripple through time, starting with 5 old friends who had no idea what was coming. He found them in a deer park, 5 former companions who once practiced with him. They saw him from afar and scoffed. He gave up. He broke the path. But as he approached, something changed. His silence said more than their judgments. His presence calmed their breath. And they listened. There, he turned the wheel of Dharma for the first time. Not with chants or sacred fire, but with 4 simple truths. There is suffering, there is a cause, there is an end, and there is a path. That was it. The 4 noble truths: a diagnosis, a cause, a cure, and a treatment plan. Revolutionary in its simplicity and the beauty. He didn't say, believe me. He said, see for yourself. Buddhism didn't begin as a belief system. It began as a toolkit, a way of seeing, a challenge to investigate your own mind. And that challenge still stands today. You don't need to worship. You just need to pay attention. Soon, the wheel kept turning, from villages to cities, from farmers to kings. People began leaving behind luxury and poverty alike. not to escape life, but to live it with clarity. A new way of seeing was born, one that didn't fight the world, but flowed through it, like water. But seeing isn't always enough. The Buddha knew we need structure, a direction, and so he offered a map, a practical, grounded path that anyone could walk, even today. He called it the Eightfold Path, the way out of suffering. Rooted in the Four Noble Truths, it wasn't a set of commandments. It was a way of being, right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Not moral policing, just practical clarity. The first truth: suffering exists. Obvious, right? But how much of your life is spent running from that truth? We numb it with shopping, scrolling, drinking, planning. But Buddhism says, stop, just for a moment, look at it. The pain you avoid may be your greatest teacher. The second truth: suffering comes from craving. Not wanting, but clinging. That tight, desperate grip we have on how we think life should be. It's not the desire that hurts. It's the attachment. Think of social media. Ever kept scrolling, hoping for something to finally make you feel okay? That's craving. The third truth: suffering can end. Not through miracles. Through awareness. Through letting go. It's not about fixing yourself. It's about seeing that you're not broken. There's no original sin. Just original confusion. And the fourth truth: there is a path, a way to live with awareness, compassion, and balance. You don't need a monastery. You don't need incense. You just need the willingness to sit with yourself, question what's real, and walk the path. Which sometimes begins not with a teaching but with a story. One day, a student came to the Buddha full of rage. He had been insulted, betrayed, humiliated, and wanted to know what to do with all that pain. The Buddha listened quietly. Then he handed him a bowl with a dark liquid and said, "Drink it." The man flinched. "Is it poison?" "No," the Buddha said, "but it's what you're doing with your anger." That poison was metaphorical, but deadly real. Holding on to anger is like carrying hot coals, waiting to throw them at someone, while your own hands burn first. The Buddha said, "You are not punishing them. You are punishing yourself." And the student fell silent. This is Buddhism in action, not pretending you don't feel rage, but meeting it with clarity, naming it, breathing through it, understanding what's behind it. Want to practice? The next time you feel anger, pause. Breathe deeply into your belly 3 times. That space might save you from 1,000 regrets. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means dropping the weight. The Buddhist practice of metta, loving kindness, teaches us to wish well even for those who've hurt us. Not for them, for us. So we stop poisoning ourselves, so we stop living in chains made of our own thoughts. Because in the end, what the Buddha taught, through silence, through story, through presence, is this: suffering is real, but it's optional. Pain may knock, but you don't have to invite it in for tea. Awakening isn't escaping life, it's being fully present in it. And now, the path is in your hands. So now you've heard the story, not of a god, not of a saint, but of a man who saw clearly, who let go, and who woke up. And maybe the most powerful part of all this is that he didn't keep it for himself. He offered it to anyone who's willing to look. No dogma, no conversion, just a mirror. And a question. What are you clinging to? What are you chasing? That's actually keeping you stuck. What if freedom wasn't about escaping, but about seeing, accepting, and releasing? You don't need to meditate in a cave. You don't need to shave your head. But what would happen if you simply paused, just for 10 minutes a day, and watched your breath like it mattered? If something in this video stirred something in you, don't let that feeling pass. Explore it. And if you want to keep walking this path, one step, one insight at a time, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We'll keep going. Together.